People far too often pay more taxes in retirement than they need to because of confusing rules and surprises in the tax code. But another reason for that is simply not looking ahead and asking, how can my actions today affect my tax situation in later years and help my money last longer? Your tax exposure will change over time depending on your age and where you are relative to your actual retirement. If you don't look ahead and plan for these changes, it can be costly. When you break it down this way, there becomes 4 distinct stages to retirement tax planning. This video will help you look ahead and be prepared so that you make the right decisions to help your money last longer. I'm Dan Lohmar. I'm a certified financial planner professional with United Wealth Management, where we specialize in PRAP management and financial planning for pilots at United Airlines. And like many of you, my business partner, Alan Bewley, and I are both pilots at United. Welcome to another video in my retirement tax planning video series. Now, if you want to learn how to manage your taxes and grow your money so that you enjoy the retirement you deserve and help your PRAP last longer, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and hit the bell icon so that you know when new videos come out. Why is it so important to identify 4 stages of retirement tax planning? It seems like these things should be obvious, but people all the time miss opportunities, deadlines, or create obstacles by not looking ahead and then letting certain dates, ages, or events pass them by. And before they know it, they're stuck with a decision or a lack of a decision that cannot be undone, and some of these can be very costly. So I'll be discussing retirement tax planning in 4 distinct stages. It helps identify how your tax exposure will change over time and what you need to do to look ahead while you can still do something about it. Let's go to the computer and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so here we are. We're talking about 4 stages of retirement tax planning. And why is it so important to kind of identify what these stages are about? Well, it's all about planning and looking ahead. And as I went through and developed the slides for this, what I found is that the topics I talk about in the 4 stages of retirement planning ended up being almost all the topics I talk about in the entire series of retirement tax planning, all the videos involved there. And so what happens is as you go through these phases in life, certain events happen, dates happen, ages happen, and that once you pass certain dates, you can no longer undo certain decisions. So there's certain things you can't prevent from happening anymore. There's certain things you can't undo. Once you start taking Social Security or PBGC, you cannot undo that. And so, and then there's some times that you need to take advantage of things today rather than waiting until the future. So that's why it's important to identify these things. It's about looking ahead and planning ahead on how your actions or inactions today can affect your decisions, tax consequences, or financial consequences down the road. So in the big picture of things, there's kind of 4 stages. There's the late working years, 50 to 65. And so, yeah, you want to start thinking about this stuff as early as 50 or maybe even younger than that. I don't think you can start too early. And then the next phase really is not necessarily 65, but whenever you retire is kind of what it depends on. You might call it the go-go years, the earliest phases of early years of retirement, the middle years 70 to 80, and then the slow-go years. And again, each one of these phases is kind of distinguished by a particular different aspect of financial or retirement tax planning. So if you kind of break down each one of these phases, what's different about each one? So the pre-retirement years is 50 to 65 or whatever your retirement date is. And it's the last few years of saving and planning. And you want to be asking questions like, all right, Roth versus traditional, what's the best way? Mortgage versus no mortgage. How much do I need? That's a big part. How much do I need to spend? It's time to start looking at that stuff before you retire. It helps create the probability of your financial picture and how retirement's looking for you. And again, looking ahead at future tax implications. Here's the big one. One of the things that we recommend leading up to retirement is, in addition to saving on your pre-tax and your Roth accounts and everything like that, if you can, is to save in a taxable account a cushion of cash that you can live off of for the first few, maybe even the first full 5 years of retirement, because what that does is that can potentially put you in a very, very low tax bracket for the first 5 years. And during that time, you have one or two options. You can actually pull some money out of tax deferred accounts, or even better than that would be to do Roth conversions while you're in years of very low tax bracket. And as you look at this and project how that looks out the future, you look at what your required minimum what that's going to do to your RMDs or your required minimum distributions. So that's a big part of the later working years, is trying to save up some money in a taxable account like cash. And again, knowing your income sources before you take them, knowing the benefits, the ins and outs of Social Security, PBGC, CPRP. And it's good to know these ahead of time, because I hear people give me a lot of reasons why they have already started PBGC at age 60, or why they're going to start Social Security right away at age 65. And I'm not saying that those are the wrong decisions for them, but I hear a lot of misinformation. And so learn the ins and outs, the pros and cons of what your decision is going to be on taking these income sources before you take them. And their other reason is that whatever you decide has implications on what you do with the rest of your finances. The early retirement years, 65 to 70, the event essentially that starts this is your actual retirement. It's maybe your highest spending years. You're usually the most active there. You're going to transition to Medicare and retiree medical benefits. And then a big part of this for tax planning purposes is planning for required minimum distributions. Are you going to do Roth conversions during this time period before RMDs start? And that's a big part of it. Another part of planning this is planning your order of withdrawals, the order of which you take money out of taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free accounts can make a huge impact on the taxes you pay over your lifetime. So that's a big consideration right there. And again, planning for this before you even retire, before you even get into this phase. So again, it's looking ahead. The mid-years of retirement, ages 70 to 80, spending may decrease during these years, but it does not necessarily mean your tax bracket decreases, because the big factor here is required minimum distributions. And again, during the early years, looking ahead into this stage of retirement and asking, how can I reduce required minimum distributions before I get to this phase? One aspect or one other attribute of that is qualified charitable distributions. This is a way to potentially replace withdrawals from RMDs. I have a whole nother video just about qualified charitable distributions, but it's a way that you can take money out of a tax-deferred account in which you would owe an RMD, and you can send that money directly to charity, and it would help you fulfill your RMD obligation. But that's just a touch on. I've got a whole nother video just on that subject. And then also looking ahead at legacy implications. And then the final years of retirement, obviously legacy planning. We always, there's an age, 80 plus. The fact of the matter is this can come at any time, and you can never really look ahead for this soon enough. And the other things to consider are elder care, long-term care, cognitive decline. So all these things are things that you want to talk about before it actually happens. So in your 60s, 70s, or even earlier. The key point to all of this is have a plan, look ahead. Your actions or inactions today can have a ripple effect throughout the rest of your life. That's positive or negative. The tax code can be confusing. There's no question about it. And people often pay more taxes than they need to because of bad decisions, wrong decisions, or lack of a decision. So have a plan, look ahead, and don't get surprised by the things that happen here. My next video to continue on this series is about one of the biggest surprises of all in retirement tax planning, and that's the taxation of Social Security, also known as the tax torpedo. And so that when that video comes out, go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and hit the bell icon so that you get notified. As you see, there are a wide range of issues that must be planned for in each stage, and this can be a lot harder than it seems because the tax code is confusing, and if you're not planning ahead, retirement can have a few surprises. In my next video, I talk about what can be one of the biggest surprises, and that's the taxation of Social Security, otherwise known as the tax torpedo. I'm Dan Lohmar with United Wealth Management, where we specialize in PRAP management and financial planning for pilots at United Airlines. And if you're a United pilot, you have any questions about anything in this series or just want to talk with no obligation, reach out to me using the link in the video description section on YouTube. Let me know what's on your mind. And visit our website, unitedwealthmanagement.com. On behalf of myself and my business partner, Alan Bewley, invest with a plan based on science and evidence. Everything else is just guessing.